Hi, I'm Krista Perry. Thank you very much for joining us. And with me today is Brian Doyle from Doyle-Saluski, licensed trustees in insolvency and restructuring. And today we're talking about proposals. Now, Brian, sometimes people get into financial troubles. It happens. And we think, we have the creditors calling. It's a very stressful time, and we think maybe the only thing that we can do is go into bankruptcy. But that's not always the case. You can make a proposal to your creditors. What does that entail?
Well, first of all, you have to see a licensed professional, someone who has the ability to handle this and is licensed by the government. And only licensed trustees in insolvency and restructuring, formerly trustees in bankruptcy, can do that. And licensed trustees are professionals. They're trained, and they've been in the business many years. They have staff who are trained, professional, and an assessment has to be made. Can you make payments which would reasonably be expected to be accepted by the creditors over a reasonable period of time which you can live within? And all this is possible if you are creative sometimes with your thinking on how to structure that proposal.
Right. So if somebody comes to you and they say, look, I'm this much in debt, I have the credit card companies calling, I've got the telephone company calling, Hydro's calling, what do I do? So you bring all your paperwork into Doyle-Saluski and you would sit down and discuss putting that all together and doing a separate proposal to each of the creditors?
No, it's one proposal to all the creditors. So what's your family structure like? Have you got children? Are they in preschool? Are they in university? Are both parents working? Or maybe it's a single parent, or maybe you're a single adult. So what is your personal situation? What's your budget look like? How much can you afford to pay your creditors after you've covered reasonable living expenses? And then we go from there. It's not how much you owe, it's how much you can afford to pay back where we work from. And that's why we call it an affordable proposal, as opposed to one where people think they've got to live in debtor's prison for 5 years in order to pay back their debts.
Yeah, I think people have that misconception about what to do with their finances. And again, people think, first off, bankruptcy, that's it, my credit is ruined, I'm done for. And these people are going to want all their money back. I just can't afford it. There's no way. But this is an economical way that you can live and still, pay your hydro, still feed your kids, still have extra activities, still live a reasonable lifestyle, and get your credit problem taken care of.
That's right. Unfortunately, many people come to us not too late, but very late in the scheme of things. The sooner we're able to look at their situation and give them some practical advice, the better the plan is going to be in most cases. So we have to look at what their budgets are going to be, how much they can afford, how much their debts are, and how we approach all of these and what resources are available to pay these back. Can we pay back so much over 24 months, 60 months? Is there a relative who will make a lump sum offering to the creditors, maybe 10, 15, 20% that would help pay down the bulk of it? Are there other sources? Can we get a second mortgage? Can we get a consolidation loan? There are a variety of things we can look at, but every person's situation is different. Everybody has to have an individual assessment as to what we can do for them.
One of the things that makes it so stressful for someone who's in a bad financial situation is those creditors calling your house, sending letters. You can't sleep, you can't eat, you're stressed out. If you come to Doyle-Saluski and work on a proposal, will those phone calls, those letters, that constant bombardment of stress, will that still happen?
No, they stop. Only a licensed trustee can make that happen. Why? Because it's legal. It's legislated. Creditors have to stop calling. There's what we call a stay of proceedings in force. So as soon as we file a formal proposal called a consumer proposal, this stops all the calls. Creditors cannot pursue their legal rights. They have to wait until we meet with the creditors and we discuss the arrangement, whatever it might be. There may be a little negotiation, but hopefully if 50% of the creditors who vote positively for this arrangement, it carries everybody. And then we go forward with whatever the plan is.
It would be in their best interest to do a proposal most of the time, because then they would get some money back instead of a bankruptcy where they may not get anything.
That's right. But many creditors use collection agencies whose self-interest is, of course, to collect the money now and get their commission. So we can't say that every creditor is necessarily acting in their own self-interest at the time when if they've got a collection agency making the calls for them.
If somebody is having credit problems, they need to do a proposal what you said before about them not waiting. Come in now. The guilt will go away. You don't have to feel guilty. These things happen in life. This is why Doyle Saluski is here to take care of you.
We get people in all stages of life, from young adults who have bought too expensive a car and all of a sudden getting married, and then the pressures and burdens of young parenthood, and seniors have become the largest growing segment of filers for bankruptcy, unfortunately. Many people are going into their twilight years and they're carrying large amounts of debt. That shouldn't happen. They have to take care of that.
And how can they? How can someone get in touch with you to talk about their financial situation?
Well, simply give us a call, 613-237-5555, or at doylesaluski.ca, and make an appointment. And it's free for an hour, whatever it takes to get down to the budget, the family circumstances, and what can be done.
Thank you very much, Brian.
My pleasure.